Hey guys, I'm going to remove iCloud from this iPad Air 2. So I've already got the logic board removed from the housing. There's the housing here, and peeled off the shield. This one just peels right off like this. It's okay if you bend it a little; it'll go back just like it should. So basically, I need, because this model is only Wi-Fi, all I need to do is remove the NAND, the memory chip. And then I'm going to use my programmer here, a little IP box too. I also have a PCIe programmer, but that's for newer models of iPads. So I'll remove it and program it with new activation data and then do a restore. So to remove the NAND, the first thing you want to do is there's underfill or overfill, whatever you want to call it, around the edges of this NAND. So I'm going to scrape that off, and then I'll probably cut the shield border right about here and here so that I can easily get a tool under it as I'm heating it and lift it up. It's real important when you're taking off the NAND that you don't overheat the RAM or the CPU. Oh, you're into the board, useless. Not necessarily, really. I can reball the RAM if I mess it up. CPU I wouldn't mess with. It's just not worth my time. So, anyways, I'll film the process as much as I can, and if you have any questions, leave a comment. Also, I perform this service. Check the link, the description below, and I'll put a link to my eBay ad. Okay, so I have removed the side of the shield here so that I can get access under it. I have the board on a preheater that's been calibrated. I got it at 175C. The reason I use a preheater is because I want to use less temperature on top, and I want this to come off relatively quick. The goal here is to get this NAND off before I reflow any of the components around it. Specifically these chips that are underfilled, as if they reflow those, you're going to have trouble. Like I said, I can reball the RAM, but it's a real pain. I'd rather not do it. So what I use is coins. There's actually a heat pad sandwiched in here below the coins. The coins draw the heat out of the chip and prevent those chips from reflowing underneath. I'm not going to tell you the temperature I use on top. It depends on your equipment. I'm using a pretty high-end Hakko. It's probably been calibrated correctly by the Japanese, but the reason I don't want to tell you the exact temperature I use on top is that it's highly dependent on your particular model that you're using. So you just need to know your equipment in order to do this correctly. So like I said, the goal is to get this thing off before I reflow the rest of the components. I'm going to come under it right here with just a razor blade. I used to remove these caps to give myself more room. I found that that's really not necessary. If I just use a razor blade like this, I'll just kind of scoop it under, and I might knock a cap off or two, but that's not a big deal. I'll fix it later, but I'll try not to. So here we go. Gonna remove it. And it's off. So now, you can see I didn't pull any pads. I got it off relatively quickly. Now I got to clean all that underfill on the bottom of the chip and on the bottom of the PCB board, because that has to be nice and smooth for the next one to go on. So that's the next process. I'm not going to film that. It's boring. And I'll film what it looks like when it's done. Okay, chip is off and cleaned. Bottom of the NAND is clean. Bottom of the logic board is clean. Time to reprogram with some activation data from an iPad mini that no longer works and will never work. So that way we're safe, and of course it has no iCloud information associated with the serial. Okay, so when you program it, marked iPad 6, even though it's an Air 2, this is Chinese software and it's junk. So Air 2 doesn't work, but iPad 6 will work for an Air 2. An Air 1 you'd use iPad 5. For the other models, well, the non-PCIe models, I'm not even sure exactly what to use. I don't do a whole lot of unlocks. Well, I did iPad 4 not long ago, that worked. I mostly unlock PCIe models, so that's the newer Pros. But so the things you want to change, of course, the serial number, and then you need the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth address that matches that serial number. That's enough for activation data. The rest of it doesn't really matter. I like to change, well, since we're going to be a 66, I like to change that to match, but it doesn't matter for activation what you put here. So yeah, that's it. I don't format, I don't create this partition, I don't do any of this stuff that China has. Don't delete it. Just simply take whatever data's in here, zero it out, and then click write. That's all you need to do. And when you're done and you put this chip back on, the board will boot up as normal to the to the home screen, to where you'd activate it just like it did before. That's not going to work. You need to restore it first. So just put it in restore mode. I like to do that using 3U-Tools. 3U-Tools is great. I don't have a device connected right now, but you can actually click under more right here and then put it into recovery mode and not have to, hold down the home button or any stuff like that. So anyways, that's how that works. Yeah, so on to the next process. The reprogrammed memory NAND chip is here, and I've reballed it already, and now it's time to put it back on. Okay, it'll go on a lot quicker because I've reballed it with leaded solder, which is good. I don't want to heat the board up to lead-free temperatures. See, it's on. Yep, it's done. That's a lot easier with leaded solder. I don't have to heat it up quite as much. It's a lot safer. The dangerous part is removing the NAND. Putting it back on leaded solder, it's highly unlikely I'm going to heat the board up enough to reflow any of the components nearby. The iPad into recovery mode, as you can see, and it's going through the update as we speak. Got the board all in there. Actually, I don't have it too well connected. I just connected the Wi-Fi antennas so that I can set it up. And here it is going through its, just in case the serial pops up. Here it is going through the restore process, and when it's done, it should be unlocked. And that's that. I'll stop the video for now and show you when it's done. Okay, so just one difference, or a couple differences here between the cellular model and the Wi-Fi only model. On the cellular model, you need to either remove a resistor or add a bridge, depending on which version you're working for. The Air 2, you actually add a bridge in here, and that changes it so that it thinks it's a Wi-Fi only and it downloads Wi-Fi only firmware. Problem with that is that firmware is not compatible with the Wi-Fi IC that comes on the cellular model. So what you have to do is remove it like I did here, and then replace it with that same model from a Wi-Fi only version. So you have to remove the IC and put the Wi-Fi only version on there. Then your Wi-Fi will work. So that's the difference. Okay, I think it's done restoring. That's a good screen. That's what you want to see. So we'll go ahead and set it up, activate it. Looks like it's still finishing up. Now I restore these on the battery. I used to use my power supply, but I've noticed that it creates errors that are not real. So when you can get restore errors if you use the power supply, depending on which version of the iPad you're working on. Come on. Okay, so while we're waiting, one other thing I want to talk about is scammers. This is the only real way to unlock an iPad. I know there's some remote unlock people that advertise online. I believe that every one of them are a scammer. Do not send your money to them. And if anybody comments on my video doing something like that, hold on, sorry about that. I was talking about the scammers. If anybody comments on my video, some kind of Twitter link or something, I'm going to delete the comment. Maybe even turn you in. I don't put up with scammers, and there's a lot of scammers out there. They're doing iCloud unlocks. Okay, let's go ahead and finish this up. Let's see. It's looking for Wi-Fi. Where's my open one? There it is. See if it'll connect. Yep. We'll set up Touch ID later. Even though I've changed the activation serial data, the Touch ID will still work. That's because it's unique to a key that's stored in the CPU. No passcode. It was set up as a new one, and no, we're not going to lock it. We just finished that. Why would I want to lock it, Apple? You want me to lock it so that if it's lost, it can't be used again. It's one of the reasons I do these unlocks. Apple's, I don't agree with a lot of their processes. They make it impossible to find the person that it belonged to. I mean, they just want it to be a brick. They don't want you to use it if you find it. And it's in the best interest to sell new ones. Anyways, yep, it's unlocked. And it's ready to go. So, couple things you want to remember. Don't ever update the iOS. I mean, right now you could update it, it'd be fine, but I have no idea what tomorrow will bring. With the iOS updates, there may be more checks in place where this won't work anymore, so do not ever update it. I also like to keep an iCloud account logged in just to protect that serial, just in case it ever gets, someone tries to reuse it, they can't, though that's not too likely. Don't ever restore it either. Even a reset, a hard reset, I wouldn't suggest doing that. Anyways, yep, it's unlocked, so that's the process. Now, this is not for a beginning solder. This video is not intended for somebody to unlock their iPad that doesn't have a lot of experience. This video is intended for techs that maybe want to do this and are just kind of curious about the process. And I purposely left out, how to reball and things like that. I mean, if you don't have experience with that and you don't have decent gear like this, then you really have no business attempting this yourself. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed my video. Any questions, just leave them in the comments section below. Thanks.